I was a wise guy. I was making a lot of money burglarizing. In Las Vegas, you could do whatever you want with money. But if the FBI starts working on you 24 hours a day, it's a serious problem.
He was involved in cases of burglaries and armed robberies, arsons, murder.
You gotta make this thing happen.
I thought, we just can't let this large a burglary happen. That's when the adrenaline kicked in. I thought, this is it. This is the big one we wanted.
Freeze, FBI!
You were always hoping that Frank Cullotta would come forward and become a government witness. That was always a goal of the investigation.
I don't want to talk to no federal agents. I wasn't a rat. But this is the underworld. When there's a hit or a contract put on you, you're going to get killed. I left Chicago and arrived in Las Vegas, May of '78. Vegas was a new start for me in the sense that it was new territory that I was stepping into. It's always been a mobbed up state. It's always been controlled by some type of organized crime. But the Chicago outfit had the biggest interest in Las Vegas. I was a criminal and connected to the outfit. And I would do things for them. In Chicago, I used to hijack trucks. I did jewelry robberies, burglarize homes. If they needed me to break somebody's head, if they wanted somebody popped, you know. But gangsters, they were killing all these crooks in Chicago. They were just whacking them. We had a war on our hands. So I made my decision that it would be much more safer to live in Las Vegas. My first meeting when I arrived in Las Vegas was with Tony Splacho.
Frankie Cullotta.
This is my best friend. I grew up with this guy. He was a big organized crime guy. So I had connections. I was hooked up. So he seen me and he was all excited. Hey, I'm glad to see you're here. And then he said,
There's so much money to be made here in Vegas with the burglaries.
He said, the only thing I want out of you, he said, is 10% of the score. And he said, listen, here's what I need you to do.
I want you to meet this guy I know.
He told me that this guy was a tipster. He was an insurance agent that sells insurance in your house. Tony said that he had all the information that we would need to make a burglary. Met him in a bagel joint. And I asked him, I said, let me see what you got. And he said, well, he says, I have this guy who owned a jewelry store. And he moved all his jewelry to his house.
It's all insured for over 100 grand.
100,000. That's a big score. He'd give us the address. Everything just fell together real nice. I was gonna make money. Lots of it. I did a house prowl. First of all, I look at the type of house it was. This particular house, the windows had alarms on them. They had the magnets up on top, and if you open up the window, the magnet would split, the alarm would go off. And the doors also had alarms on them. I didn't know how we were going to get in. I thought it's going to be very difficult to do. So I looked at the place closer. Then I realized for sure, 100%, the best way to get in this house, just make a hole in the wall. This way, you know you were going to get in there without any alarm going off. That's the solution. Go through the hole in the wall. So I put a crew of guys together. Larry Newman, a pathologic, I mean, he was a serial killer. We refer to him as a lurch. Leo Gardino was a master burglar. Let's say he was a serial burglar. Ernie DeVino, the mule, because he was like a little pit bull. They were happy. They liked the thought of making all that money. We had information that this guy bowled every Wednesday night, and he would leave the house around 6 at night. We waited about 5-10 minutes, and he left. We left one man in the car, and he'd have police scanners plugged into the cigarette lighter. He'd lay down on the seat. He would listen to the calls. You're always concerned when you're doing a crime that you're going to get seen or spotted. And this is something that you have to wrestle with, or else you better not rob. So Leo hit the wall. Oh, gee. That was the biggest noise of my life. We didn't want to blow the score. So I says, wait a minute. I says, put a rag around the head of the sledgehammer. So Leo hit it with the sludge again. And then he hit it again and again. I sat down on my butt and kicked. So when we went in there, I told Leo, look for the safe. I went to the garage because I was told that he had so much jewelry that it would be stacked in the garage. Everything sounds too good to be true, but there was all these boxes. Boxes and boxes and boxes. This insurance guy was right on the money. Meanwhile, Leo had found the safe. There was cash in there, and there was more jewelry in there. So that was a very good score. We took it to a secure location to see what we had. We counted the money first, which is, say, $115,000. Put it in stacks of $500s or $1,000 stacks. I got to take 10% for the tipster. I got to take 10% off of the grand total for Tony. I went to Tony's house and I handed him an envelope. He was very grateful to get the 10%. You get a feather in your cap, you get allowed to do things in the city. So your back was being covered. Nobody was going to get an okay to hit you, shoot you in the head. In Las Vegas, you could do whatever you want with money. We all gambled. I gambled. We were out drinking, partying, buying cars, going out with the ladies. We used to rob cocaine dealers. So we all had a little bad habits, you know. I told my partners, I said, I hope this kind of notoriety don't hit the paper, because if too many people know what you're doing, we could get caught. It happened. As sure as my name is Frank Cullotta, it happened. We were labeled the hole-in-the-wall gang. I know the immense amount of heat we would have got from a story like that. Now, I knew I had to be a little bit more cautious. I had to try to keep a low profile. So I decided to open up a legitimate restaurant. We called it the Upper Crust. Tony would come every afternoon, have a little coffee or something. One day, Tony said, listen, he said, there's a particular burglary I want you to do. It was a place called Bertha's. It was over $1 million robbery. He said, but you got to promise me one thing. You got to try to keep a low profile. Because if the FBI starts working on you 24 hours a day, it's a serious problem.
I arrived in Las Vegas. I was assigned to the organized crime squad. That's when I first heard about Frank Cullotta. He was a lieutenant, the #1 man for Anthony Spilatro, the man running the organization out here in Las Vegas. Anthony Spilatro was involved heavily in any number of crimes: burglaries, armed robberies, arsons, murder. We were trying to build a case against Mr. Spilatro and the Chicago outfit. However, we really did not have concrete information, proof of the criminal activity involving Tony Spilatro. So I needed to start conducting surveillances on Tony Spilatro, Frank Cullotta, particularly at Frank Cullotta's restaurant. There was a bank located nearby. The FBI set up a surveillance post there. We would take photographs. We would write down a log of the times, place people together on a certain day at a certain time. And we were also looking to read the lips of Frank and his associates to give us an idea of what was going on. Well, the photographs tend to be a little grainy, but no doubt that showed their conspiracy together. It was obvious that Tony Spilatro and Frank Cullotta were acting as a crew.
One day, the girl who worked in the bank, she came over and she said, there's people, they got cameras and they're watching your place. I just assumed that it was the FBI. So I said, thank you very much. He says, you don't pay when you come to this restaurant.
Hey, Tony, come here.
I told Tony, I said, they got some cameras over there in that bank.
It's over there.
I said, they're watching us. So we got to be careful what we say. So we started covering our mouths with our hands when we're talking. We were like this all the time, you know, touching our nose, you know. So it would confuse anybody that was a lip reader. You had to remain one step ahead of them. And we were.
Frank standing there with his hand over his mouth. Not like this. He's looking. The cameras have been compromised. We got a problem. They had very good idea what was going on. So we knew we just had to put together another plan. We had to develop a source on the inside, someone who was close to him, particularly a gang member, who would come forward with information and become a government witness.
Bertha's was one of the biggest jewelry stores in Las Vegas. It had jewelry, it had cash, it had antiques. Tony told me to go check out the score, so we went there. But I was cautious. The biggest concern was the FBI, because I knew the immense amount of heat we would have got from a robbery like that. The law enforcement, FBI, they could reach in and pluck you out anytime they want, and once they're on you, they're gonna put you away. That's a guarantee. When I first entered Bertha's, I'm trying to figure out how to make entry. I look up, I look down, I look on the floor, and I observe. And after looking at it carefully, I decided you can't do it. They had an alarm system, cameras and motion detectors. They had that whole area locked down. But then I noticed a vault, and I assumed that the vault had the cream of the crop in there. The vault was wired. They had an alarm on it and a door, but there was nothing to indicate that they had any kind of sound or motion detectors inside. My thoughts were the only way you could make entry into that place was through the roof into the vault. If we could do that, I knew it was doable. We would make money, lots of it.
I received a telephone call from our Chicago office about a burglar who specialized in alarms.
I think he might be able to help you with this Spilotro case.
Caught in some criminal activity, and that he was now a cooperating government witness. I knew very well that he could be useful to the FBI. I drove to a hotel where he was located. I was introduced to him. His name was Sal Romano. Sal Romano was affiliated with the Chicago outfit. And so he was known to Tony Spilotro, and he was close enough to Frank's crew that he could certainly go get us information.
Think you'd be able to go and have a few drinks with him? Sure.
I felt that, yes.
Give you my number.
Now we had someone on the inside that could keep us informed of what was going on. I did think this is it. The FBI would win the game. We arranged for an apartment that Sal was to tell everybody was his girlfriend's apartment. We placed knickknacks and bathroom items and that type of thing, all to lend credibility to the story. We had recording devices in the apartment in order to hear what was going on and for protection of Sal Romano. Because if Sal is suddenly unmasked as a FBI source, it would have been a dangerous situation for him.
Hey, Frank.
I was at my restaurant, and one of my crew, Ernie DeVino, came in there with a guy called Sal Romano.
Remember this guy? Sal. Sal Romano.
I didn't know who he was, but I knew of him from Chicago. Ernie told me about his expertise of shutting alarms off.
Well, I've worked with him before, and he's good.
You know, I said he was a master burglar. I thought he was probably trying to get in to our crew. I didn't like the way he wouldn't look at you in the eyes. But Ernie liked him. So my sense was to feel this guy out. So I said, where are you going now? He says, by his house. He says, why don't you take a ride with me, check out some merchandise. So we went there. When I came into the house, the first thing I did was check for bugs and cameras, because I'm very suspicious. I tried to check the TV out, because I know the feds put cameras in TVs. And I didn't see anything. But I still had this uneasy feeling. And I looked on the table, there was a little manicure and stuff, you know, a couple of bottles there and there to show me that a woman lived there. Then I went into the bedroom. Sal's watching me. I thought something's wrong here. So I say, Sal, how come your girl don't have any clothes in the closet?
She's an airline stewardess.
She's an airline stewardess. She don't have any clothes there at all? It just don't make sense to me. I knew I wanted nothing to do with this guy. I wasn't going to let him in my crew. Not in a million years. But a few days later, I found out that Ernie done something stupid.
I got Sal in on the Bertha's score.
Ernie filled him in on the Bertha score. I was angry enough to kill Ernie. I worked on that score for 9 months. And then this idiot asked this jerk to come in on the robbery. I was going to have to talk to Tony.
I received a phone call.
Yeah, what was going on, Aldi?
It's Sal.
From Sal Romano.
I heard that something big's going down to Frank's crew.
He told me the hole-in-the-wall gang, or Frank Cullotta's crew, had planned to burglarize Bertha's.
I got all the details on it from one of the crew.
My first impression was that we're going to have to do something about it. Bertha's was an location here in Las Vegas. We just can't let this large a burglary happen. I
went and had a sit down with Tony.
Listen, Tony.
I told Tony I didn't like the idea of going on the score with Sal, that I didn't trust him.
Just something doesn't feel right.
I said, I know the guy's a bad guy. I said, but, you know, I can't put my finger on him. So I said I wanted to pass on Bertha's.
Look, Frank. You gotta make this thing happen.
Tony told me Sal was all right.
If he makes a wrong move, then have Larry whack him.
So I didn't have much of a choice. You don't dispute orders. Once you plan it, you do it. You don't walk away. Not $1 million score. If you value your life. And the only thing you get to hope for is that you're wrong. Bertha's was our ace in the hole. I knew it was doable. When I planned that robbery out, I did know that making the hole in the roof would be noisy. So I decided that I would do it on the 4th of July because the noise that we were going to make on the roof would blend in with the firecracker display that they had down. I thought I couldn't have planned this any better. The only thing I wasn't comfortable with was Sal Romano being on it.
Sal Romano said that the burglary was going to be conducted on July 4th. They were going to try to go through the roof and ceiling into the vault at Bertha's. They also advised us that they would have a member of the crew monitoring our radio traffic. So our headquarters supplied us with frequencies that the burglars did not have. This was a major thing. We would get all the crew members acting together, committing a major violation. We knew that whole crew was being controlled by Tony Spilatro.
Gear up and let's head out.
I thought, this is it. This is the big one we wanted. On the day of Bertha's, the surveillance squad went up on the roof of the nearby building well before the bad guys got out there. Now, I was a case agent, I was the arrest team leader, but we couldn't go there until it was dark. So we were in a van parked some ways away because we didn't want to be seen by the bad guys.
We had a final meeting the night of the robbery. We discussed what role each one of us would play.
Leo, I want you to
Leo and Ernie was going to make the hole in the roof. I was going to be on the ground with the CB radio listening to all the calls, the police band.
Larry, here's what I want you to do.
Larry Newman was going to be in a car watching if somebody was around there in the area.
You ready to go?
Now, what I figured for Sal Romano was he would drive over there with the station wagon with all the tools in it, all the guys, and let them all out at the back of the building. Then he was to park the car, and then Larry would pick him up and keep an eye on him. I think it was 10:30 at night. Took all the equipment, the tools, and they loaded up in the cars. And they proceeded to go to Bertha's. I drove my car to the back of the building. I looked around, all around me. I didn't see anything suspicious. I seen the station wagon come in. I seen them put the ladder up. I seen the station wagon leave that position. I see him carrying his stuff up. I told Larry they were on the roof.
I think they're on the nest.
The whole score should take no more than 2.5 to 3 hours. They have all the merchandise out in the car and gone.
I received a radio communication from our surveillance teams that the burglars are on the roof of Bertha's.
Proceed to the location.
Proceed to the location. Okay, boys, let's get ready.
We moved out to make the arrest of the burglars. We drove down that side of the building. The burglars are on top of that building. If they had looked over, they'd have seen us going down there. We dismounted from the van. I was the first one up the ladder. I had a shotgun in my hands. But you gotta be careful handling a shotgun up a ladder. We were at the far end of Bertha's, about 20 yards from the burglars. First, we had to clear a firewall. Now, they're right in front of us.
I'm driving in my car, listening to all the calls on the police scanners. But I couldn't hear them like we normally could. It just don't make sense to me. Something's wrong here. Then Larry calls.
Frankie, something's come up. I can't find Sal Romano.
Sal Romano disappeared. I pull up alongside Larry, and Larry was like a raving maniac.
He's not around.
Larry and I look at each other, and we know that Sal Romano's lying. He took off. I says, we got problems. That's when I knew something bad was going to happen.
I'm concentrating on the burglars in front of me. They had a pretty good line of sight. It was dark, but it was a direct shot down there. I tell them,
Freeze! FBI!
The next thing I know, I look in my mirror and there's a van right on my bumper. I knew right then at that instant they had that whole area locked down. It's over with. Time's up. We're busted.
Don't move! Stay right there!
policemen and FBI agents at the front of the building had their guns drawn.
Hands behind your backs!
We got every perpetrator in the act of committing this crime.
Do it!
This was the most successful operation I had ever been in, to tell you the truth of the matter.
I just sit there looking forward with my hands on top of the wheel, knowing it was over. But in my mind, that's all I could think about was Sal Romano. That I know he was the guy that set us up. Did I feel good? No, I felt terrible. Was I upset? Absolutely. Then this comes and it hits me hard. I had a lot of convictions. This would have been the cream of the crop right here. It would have put me away for the rest of my life.
You were always hoping that Frank Cullotta would come forward and become a government witness. He could testify against Tony Spilotro and the Chicago outfit. That was always a goal of the investigation.
Would I communicate with the law enforcement? No. I don't want to talk to no federal agents. I wasn't a rat.
So you got a problem. But then a message came from our Chicago FBI office that had been a hit placed on Frank Cullotta. The outfit would have assumed that he could testify against them and put them in jeopardy, and they would not allow that. I don't think there's any question that the Chicago outfit would have tried to kill Frank. If he was going to make a deal to become a government witness for the FBI, now was the time to do it.
They brought me out of the lockup, and this federal agent was sitting there, and he said, my job is to inform you that there's a contract out in your life. And I said, you know what? As you guys are trying to get me to roll, I know exactly what's happening. He said, I want you to listen to this. It's a wiretap.
It's under my control, Joe.
Tony was the one that was talking to his boss in Chicago.
If Frank turns witness, we're all finished.
The guy on the other line says,
You know what you've got to do. You've got to clean your dirty laundry.
you got to clean your dirty laundry. Then I knew the contract was out on me to kill me. The outfit, they were throwing me out there, you know, to the wolves. When there's a hit or a contract put on you, you're going to get killed. They could reach out if you're in prison and get a gangbanger in jail to do it and kill you while you're in prison. I had to live with this, or I could go into witness protection. But to become a cooperating witness is the biggest decision one would ever have to make in their life. You know that the rest of your life, you're going to walk around with this stamp on your forehead, like Judas. But I knew they'd kill me. This is outfit, guys. This is the underworld. So I didn't have much of a choice. So I made my decision. I was going to roll.
During his debriefing, we went through everything. He identified crimes I really had no idea about. There are cases of burglaries and armed robberies, arsons, murder. The list went on and on and on of things that we found out from the mouth of Frank Cullotta.
Tony, you got a cut of the whole thing?
10%, everything.
Concrete information regarding Tony Spilotro's involvement in these crimes. I was confident it would lead to prosecution.
most difficult part about being in a witness protection program was, instead of looking for the cops and back you, you're looking for the outfit and back you. They could kill you on the streets anywhere. So you always know that you're walking a fine line. Your whole identity changes. You can't wear the same type of clothes you wore when you were a wise guy. So now I had to be like an everyday St. Mickey the Mope. You're transported to different locations for your protection. You're not allowed to talk to your family. If your location is given up by a family member, they could send a couple of hoods out there, whack you in the head. You're like isolated for your protection. It's a lonely life. You got nobody, now I got nobody. I happened to be in Mobile, Alabama, in a motel.
Yeah.
Arnold, he called and he said to me,
"No one has seen Tony Spilotro." I said, "No one's heard of Tony. He disappeared."
Arnold, he wanted to know from me if I would know, or happen to know, where Tony might have ran to. I grew up with this guy since I was 12 years old, so I knew Tony would not run. And I said, he's dead. It was the outfit. They eliminated him because he was causing too much heat. They're going to do what they have to do to eliminate a problem.
I do wish he had faced justice instead of being murdered. I would have liked the public to see just how evil this all was. It was very evil. Very evil.
Do I feel bad about the violent acts I committed? Absolutely. But I had no choice. I had to follow orders.
Frank's led a good life since then. Well, I like him very much. We've been friends for 30 years. That seems to amaze people. No, he's a friend.
I think I paid my bill to society by opening up and telling what actually happened. Now, it feels good to be a good guy. It feels good to have a clear conscience. My life has started over again. It's new, it's fresh. Like I said, what I've done is beyond back of me.